Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network.
So the judge gets a report, both sides will see it, and it gives a recommendation as to what the sentence should be. And that is based on a whole series of things, but it includes who is the offender and what are the offense characteristics. So remorse, recidivism.
Right.
The judge has to decide what kind of fine should be imposed. So to do that, you need to know about the financial wherewithal of the defendant. This is, by the way, this is standard for any defendant, that there is this process. And he will be subjected to that. And just to be clear, it's because of his conduct. I mean, it's not being imposed on him. He made a choice. He was given a trial, and the jury found that he did it. So all of this is something that every defendant who has made a choice, a poor one, and is found guilty is subjected to this.
Will the report inform Judge Merchan's decision about whether or not prison time is
Absolutely.
on the table?
About prison time, about the fine. Now, the judge does not have to follow it, the same way that the judge doesn't have to follow the state's recommendation or the defendant's recommendation. And with Judge Merchan, you can be sure he's going to make his own decision. But all of that is information that he gets. And the reason for having a separate body, so it's not just the state or the defense, is that there's an arm of the court that is actually that's independent, that is giving that analysis, so that the court doesn't have to worry about is he getting the right information.
Tired of pretending like no system of laws or justice applies to him.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, Andrew Weissmann, who would know better than you and I, said the Trump upcoming criminal sentencing. Michael Cohen received a 36-month sentence on the same two charges that are the charges of the federal equivalent of the crimes for which Trump was found guilty. But Cohen, unlike Trump, cooperated in part, pled guilty, was not the leader of the scheme. All reasons for Trump to receive a sentence of at least what Cohen got. I mean, that's just. And someone else made a good point. Rick Stengel said, calling Trump a convicted felon is not mean or insulting. It's a matter of fact and law.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. He keeps saying that he would like to go to prison. I think he was talking to Fox News, ranting incoherently to...
I'm a liberal helper. We're here to help.
Yeah. He was on the weekend edition of the Giggling Couch Tumors, and they were asking him lots of questions, and he was rambling on and on, doing his normal Donald Trump incoherent nonsense. And one of the things he said, I'll be perfectly happy to go to prison. No, he would not. Everything, his entire life has been geared around not going to prison, doing everything he possibly can, obviously a lot of wrong things because he ends up making things worse for himself, but doing all the things that you can possibly do to try to avoid getting out of going to prison, including illegal activity and all the stuff that we've been covering for so many years, seems like a lifetime now. And the one thing that I keep thinking about, though, is how a lot of people, and I think this is driven primarily by the political press, the short-term memory issues that we have, the amnesia issues that we have with politics in this country are becoming staggering. I mean, Republicans right now are getting away with this talking point in defense of Donald Trump that the DOJ has been weaponized against them. And they're going to keep saying that and saying that and saying that until
as the president's son goes on trial.
Right. Well, I mean, they're going to keep saying it. And this is the weird thing that happens in this country. I mean, among many weird things, is the more Trump says something, the more his defenders say things, the more it seeps into the minds of normals. It actually does. It actually kind of oozes in, and it's hard to resist. So that's why people have become numb to January 6th and become numb to Donald Trump's colossal failures around COVID and all the other things, because that nonsense, the propaganda, the disinformation, it actually starts to seep in. And the one thing that cannot seep in is the fact that is this notion, this ridiculous idea that DOJ has been weaponized against Donald Trump. First of all, Donald Trump was the first president in history to investigate his political rival.
Thank you.
He ordered Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sessions appointed John Huber out of Utah, U.S. attorney, who investigated Hillary Clinton from 2017 all the way through 2020, all the way through the pandemic.
He lied again about that yesterday. Everyone wanted to prosecute Hillary, but I wouldn't do it because that's not the right thing to. And it's like
nonsense.
Lie. And then the fact I never said lock her up. I mean, it's just this is where we are. I mean, here's the good thing. I love how you call it the normals because there's more of us. You said 60% of swing voters, 57% of independent voters approve of Trump's guilty verdict. So at least there are some polling that makes us feel like we're not the ones taking crazy pills. That you know, this was a jury of his peers. I mean, you retweeted Mike Lee, who said we can't proceed with business as usual in the Senate when Joe Biden, Chuck Schumer, and the Democrats have conspired to imprison Donald Trump. And you just said he's this close to ranting about gay frogs. I mean, this is the Republican Party, right?
Yeah, Ches and I, going back 10 years, have been talking about the Alex Jonesification of the Republican Party. I just coined that, by the way, Alex Jonesification. That's a mouthful. But, I mean, it's actually true. I mean, the crazy stuff that we used to hear Alex Jones say, and we're like, oh, my God, that's Alex Jones. Listen, this is so silly. And then I would do my voice, and we would make fun of him.
Raytheon. Come on, let's do our dueling, Alec. Raytheon. Tiny airplanes.
Raytheon, Bechtel, IBM, the Bilderbergs, the shape-shifting lizard people.
Tiny airplanes.
You see the fake crying on his show on the Saturday emergency edition of InfoWars. I was really hoping one of those veins in his neck would just burst.
Yes.
Is there ever an emergency big enough for us to do a Saturday show, Chris? No. No. And interrupt my bike ride?
No, absolutely not.
No. Emergency Saturday show. What is this term? There's no emergencies in radio.
No.
Yeah. But I mean, the Republican Party has become him. They've become one and the same. It's indistinguishable between a sitting member of the Senate and Alex Jones. My God.
Yeah. Well, and you retweeted someone who said, MAGA, Democrats shut down the country during COVID. Here's Trump taking credit for shutting down the country during COVID. And you said all true. That said, he shut down the country too late, then demanded reopening too soon. I mean, it was a disaster from start to finish. And here they are pillaring Dr. Fauci again, right? It's just the same loop of stupid over and over. Yeah.
Right. They're going after Dr. Fauci because they don't want people to talk about how disastrous Donald Trump's response was. I mean, there were studies that looked into how incompetent his response to COVID was and determined how many additional deaths that Donald Trump's incompetent response led to. And there were many hundreds of thousands of additional deaths that Donald Trump... Imagine Benghazi was 4 American deaths. And they're still screaming about that. Republicans are. Yeah. Donald Trump presided over 400,000 in his final 10 months in office. Yeah. And it's kind of memory hold. Talk about feeling like you're taking crazy pills.
And you always talk about, people vote just on price of whatever, eggs, gas. I mean, you retweeted Mark Cuban, who said 2022 oil and gas revenues for U.S. oil and energy companies were more than double their 2019 revenues. Global markets set pricing, not presidents. Yep. So, these are the fights that I guess we just have to keep fighting to try and...
Oh, yeah. Well, that's one of the things that's been driving me nuts. And I think I've talked about it here, but forgive me for repeating myself. The fact that all these corporations are jacking up prices, gouging prices, because they know that American consumers won't blame the corporations, which they should be.
Thank you.
And instead are blaming people like Joe Biden and the congressional Democrats. We need to start learning the names of some CEOs and some board members of these corporations, the same way we learn the names of politicians who represent us in Washington and in state legislatures, because they're the corporate CEOs, the ones with golden parachutes, they're the ones who are really screwing us blindly. I mean, we are not even realizing it and not even looking at what they're doing, and instead we're focused on the wrong thing and establishing the wrong priorities going into this crucial election.
Yeah. By the way, just in terms of how exponentially, unbelievably worse it would be in a Trump second. You retweeted Media Matters, who said Project 2025, a plan to guide the next GOP presidential administration organized by right-wing think tank, aims to dismantle the federal agency that tracks hurricanes. You said Florida voters might be interested to know this.
NOAA. They want to eliminate NOAA.
Yeah. Trump said, one of the things I'm doing is giving local police immunity from prosecution. And you said it's horrendous now. Imagine police violence against black people once cops are granted immunity from prosecution.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
and I was quoting your great interview with Rachel Bitticoffer yesterday, just about
thank
how
you.
few Americans watch any kind of news. And that any of this stuff, she said, I'll guarantee you they didn't hear this story.
Right.
Like, so,
Yeah.
that was her advice, right? Was we all have to do the work, friend, family, person by
Oh, yeah.
person to get the word out because people just don't, not only are they, that was terrifying, wasn't it, to her, when she talks about how tribal we are and that this,
Oh, yeah.
no matter what, this will come down to 100,000 votes in 3 states. You're like, oh, oh God, right?
Yes, I know. I'm just dreading election night. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But it's actually true. We have to be the messengers. We can't, we spend all of our time complaining about the messaging. We all have platforms. We all have access to social media and reasonably large audiences. We could be the messengers. We can
Right.
get the word
And
out.
we are,
can
but I
establish
mean-
priorities for people.
But I mean, everybody
Yeah.
listening, do it person to person. Like this is how we're in Pride Month. No,
Right.
no adjustment
Yeah.
necessary. But
Well,
this is how
and,
this is how the polling changed on marriage equality, which I never thought would be a possibility in my lifetime. Bob, is that
Right.
in polling, it's because they knew somebody. It's because it was your sister or aunt or your favorite radio host or football player or whoever that they knew somebody. So it wasn't some abstract concept. So
Oh, yeah.
go person to person. Talk to everybody you know. Right?
Yeah, yeah. It's not that difficult to do that. And I think one message that we need to convey is that voting in an election isn't about your own selfish needs. It is about the societal good. It is about the things that will benefit everyone in a democracy. It's not just about your one pet issue, which may be important in and of itself, but you got to take into consideration all the things. And I understand some voters may be checking out of politics because they're just overwhelmed by all the many things. They just pick 5 things. Pick 5 priorities that, if you vote this way, we'll save the climate, we'll save humanity from extinction, we'll protect reproductive rights. And you can do the list and vote based on those things rather than picking one thing and rejecting Joe Biden or the Democrats because of this one thing,
Well, and
completely ignoring the myriad other things that we're facing.
And as Rachel said, all the polls drive her crazy too. They're always wrong, and she doesn't
Yeah.
even start till the fall because regular Americans don't even start paying attention. So she was talking
Yeah.
about the polls out this far. Somebody, I don't know if you know, Kimberly Johnson on Twitter.
Yes.
She sounds familiar.
Right.
Has
I've
exquisite
seen
taste.
her naked a couple of times. Yeah.
Yes.
Only a couple.
Hello.
Yeah.
In the fridge.
Yeah, so her high beams were on, party hats were out. Wow. Okay, sorry, that was a visual. I just had.
Wow.
I started to get distracted there for a second. My mind was wandering.
Well, and then,
It-
and then you distracted me. Thank you very much. She obviously has exquisite taste in both broadcasting and men and Bob's.
the show just nearly faded out.
Yeah.
We're all just in this
We're all
fantasy
just
world riding
with-
horseback with,
With Kimberly in a perfume
hair
commercial
flowing in the
Yeah.
wind.
in slow motion.
Down the beach.
No, Kimberly, don't drop the red wine. Okay, on the white carpet. Okay, no, she tweeted. I just love this. She said, "Republicans offer hate and chaos. Democrats offer inclusivity and community." I think that's a great.
Yeah, of
that's what we
course.
were
She's
saying.
good.
That's what we were saying about sexy liberal. Like people love being with like-minded people, and so they don't because this has been exhausting. This Donald Trump era, and I think people are exhausted, and they feel like they're happy to know they're not the ones taking crazy pills. And I was saying, like all these flag controversies, Bob. We're the only ones, like, we fly the American flag, and they can go, oh, well, you do the gay flag and the Black Lives Matter. Right, but those are in the spirit of America. E pluribus unum, right? The melting pot. I mean, their flags are the flags of traitors, right? Confederate flags, Nazi flags.
That tree flag.
Yeah, right, Revolutionary War flag,
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah. And that calls to mind, I think Ted Koppel was at Gettysburg over the weekend, did a special report from there talking to National Park Rangers and asking them about, well, what do you think of the insurrection and all these terrible things that have happened in the name of something that we were fighting against in the Civil War, where there were, Confederate battle flags being carried through the halls of Congress. If veterans from the Civil War on the Union side had ever seen video, I mean, they'd be amazed. What is this? What is this technology we're seeing?
Yeah.
But they would see these Dixie flags going through the halls of Congress and be absolutely repulsed by what's become of this.
They're running on the
nation.
past. They're running on traitor flags of the past. You know, Democrats, we are about the future. And it just couldn't be clearer.
Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. I hope you'll join me on my new audio podcast, Justice Matters. I'll be using my 30 years as a federal prosecutor and Army JAG to unpack, break down, and explain the legal issues of the day, particularly where the legal intersects with the political. Please look for Justice Matters with Glenn Kirshner wherever you generally get your podcasts.